Hey guys, what's up? My name's Ian, and I am here to talk about my favorite music that has been released over the last couple of months, more specifically the first quarter of this year, because this is the first time I'm doing this, so I figured I would cover the first 3 months. I am planning on doing this on a monthly basis, depending on how it goes and how much work it takes to put into it. I don't know. This is my first time ever doing this, so thank you to anyone who's actually taking a risk with watching me on my very first try into talking to you guys about this. So I will be starting off by talking about new music that has come out within the first 90 days of this year in 2020, and also what records I am looking forward to in the month of April. And the first couple records on this list are actually from the hip hop and R&B type of genre, and for me, hip hop, rap, R&B, all that kind of music that was music that I never really grew up with, and it's only something I've really been experimenting with in the past maybe 2 to 2.5 years. Lots of rap and hip hop don't really grab me as much. Lots of times for me, it's more from a lyrical standpoint. Lots of times the lyrics in hip hop and rap I just really don't jive with. I just don't like a lot of it, but there are a few artists out there that I have really sunk my teeth into. But starting off the list is going to be The Weeknd's new record, After Hours, which is actually my very first time giving The Weeknd a shot. Obviously, The Weeknd, huge artist, but I've never gotten around to listening to him. And of course, yeah, I've heard the song Starboy, but I didn't even realize that that song was by The Weeknd until I actually started listening to The Weeknd. But the album After Hours grabbed my attention after I heard one of the songs from one of my coworkers, actually, because it has this kind of new wave 80s synth kind of feel, and it really struck a chord with me, and I thought this is pretty fucking sick. And so I gave his new record a shot, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. So this is really the only record I have listened to by The Weeknd, but it did grab me a bit. Some of the lyrics are, to put it bluntly, shit. I don't like some of the lyrics on this record. Obviously, it's just, but that is just kind of what the genre of hip hop and R&B kind of pull out, and it's just something that I don't really think I'll ever really get used to. But there's only a couple times in this record that it really has a lyric that I'm just kind of meh about. One lyric that I can't remember. I remember I did actually really like the lyric in one song where it says, I believe it's along the lines of, "You don't need a man needs you." He's talking about a woman, somewhere along that line. And I thought that was a pretty cool line. But then, 2 songs later, he kind of uses that same lyric, but says, "I don't need a bitch, but a bitch needs me." And I was just like, dude, you just ruined it. And so that's just how I feel about it. But all in all, the record is really good. I do enjoy listening to it. Some ambient noise kind of in the background while I'm playing video games or just chatting it up with some friends. It's a really good record, and I really enjoyed it. My favorite songs off After Hours are going to be Blinding Lights and In Your Eyes. Moving on down the list, continuing the R&B focus, is going to be Mac Miller's posthumous album, Circles. Now, when I talked about that there are some artists out there that I did kind of sink my teeth into when it comes to rap and hip-hop, Mac Miller was one of those artists, but it was only his swimming record. I love Mac Miller's swimming record because around the time that he had passed away, I was experimenting, with rap and hip hop. And since he was in the news, obviously, because he passed away, I figured I was like, I'll check out his most recent record, which was Swimming at the time. And I fell in love with that album. I thought it was just such a good blend of just R&B beats with jazz thrown in there, and then just very somber types of lyricism, and I ate it up. I have it on vinyl, and it's been one of my favorite R&B records that I've listened to. And then once I found out that there's going to be a posthumous record coming out from him because he was working on the same record around the same time as Swimming, because it was supposed to be kind of 2 records in tandem with Swimming in Circles. That's kind of what he was going for. I was super excited to hear it. And then I didn't really get into this album until maybe about a month after it released, because I think just around the time it came out, I just wasn't really feeling rap and hip hop around that time. I was just kind of more of just in a metalcore and hardcore mood. But I did eventually get around to listening to it about maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. and it's a very good record. I don't think it's as good as Swimming, just because I think just with Swimming, you know, it has one of my favorite songs ever, which is Ladders, and like just kind of like that faster pace, but with jazz and wind instruments, just really struck a chord with me. But with this other record, his posthumous album, Circles, it's kind of more of a laid back, some really chill beats, but also still kind of keeping those somber lyrics about what Mac was going through at that time. But yeah, there's not really much more to say about it. That I just think it's just a good R&B record. And my favorite songs off this album are going to be Complicated, Blue World, and Everybody. Moving down the list, we are going into more of the punk and core scene music, and I'm going to be starting off that list with American pop punk outfit from Worcester, Massachusetts, 4 Year Strong, with their surprisingly heavy record, Brain Pain. Now, Brain Pain is 4 Year Strong's 5th studio album, and I was super excited to hear this record when it was announced, not only because it was new music from arguably the best pop punk band out there, in my opinion, and it would also be following what I consider to be their best record, their self-titled. But not only that, I was just excited because it was being produced by Will Putney. And if anyone knows who Will Putney is, he's a producer that basically produces most of the damn music I listen to. He produced both of Knocked Loose's albums. He did a few Counterparts records. He's done some Straight from the Path records. And he's just all around just an amazing fucking producer. And anytime Will Putney is producing a record, even for a band that I don't even know, my interest is piqued. That's the power that Will Putney's name has in the core scene. But also not even that. It's just like I'm just like I said, I'm a huge 4 Year Strong fan. I think they are like the best pop punk band out there. I've followed 4 Year Strong since their very beginnings and all the way up until now, and I believe that transition and change that they did with their third record in some way, shape, or form was for the better. I think that's once they dropped the synth, that's when they started making their best music. And ever since then, the records have just been getting better and better. And I would have to say, even with this album, this is their best record that they've made. And like I mentioned before, the album heaviness took me by surprise. Like some of the breakdowns just hit fucking hard. The bassy mix just makes them hit even harder. But also the record just has a bunch of ups and downs. It has its high points with its heaviness and then its low valleys with its more laid back types of songs. And I would also even argue that 4 Year Strong does breakdowns better than most metalcore bands out there, honestly. So that might be a bit of a hot take, but that is just truly what I believe in. And my favorite songs off Brain Pain are going to be Crazy Pills, Talking Myself in Circles, and Brain Pain. Now, moving on to number 3 of my favorite music of the first 3 months of 2020. Comes from American deathcore band from Massachusetts, the Acacia Strain, and basically all of the new music that they've been releasing, including their surprise album, It Comes in Waves, because it did drop in December 26th, but at that time I was on vacation, so I didn't really get around to listening to it when I got back, and plus it's so late in the year 2019, I'm just going to fit it into this. But it's not just that in Comes in Waves, it's also the small EPs that they have dropped over the past couple months named D and E. So with my history with the Acacia Strain, I didn't really listen to them that much in the past. And for that matter, I didn't even really listen to a lot of deathcore in the past. Deathcore is kind of a genre of core music that I haven't really got into except for the past couple years. And the Acacia Strain has been around a long time, so I've only really gotten into them within the past couple years, and I can't really pinpoint a specific album that I do really enjoy by them because I haven't really given much of them a listen to because, like I said, kind of with R&B and hip-hop, I'm still kind of like breaking the barrier into deathcore, and there's only a few records out there in deathcore that I have really sunk my teeth into. But I did see the Acacia Strain perform at a show one time, and by God, they were fucking sick. So that definitely piqued my interest with the Acacia Strain at one point. And then when I was on vacation, they surprise dropped It Comes in Waves. And when I was on my way back home from that vacation, I began to listen to it. And Holy shit, it is fucking sick. The experimenting that they did with this album with their doom metal influence, but still keeping that like relentless onslaught of strings and drums that we know from the Acacia Strain was just so good. And I do believe they have a very good relationship with the band Left Behind, the hardcore band. And if you've listened to the Left Behind, they kind of have that really slow, grungy, kind of doom metal like influence in their music. So I wonder if their relationship with Left Behind has kind of like that influence has bled into their influence when it came to It Comes in Waves. And It Comes in Waves is a very short album at only 7 songs, but it's very short, but so sweet. I also appreciate like the creepiness behind the album and the sound samples thrown in from the movie The Mist here and there. Just really gives it that like creepy vibe with the slow, just melodic kind of guitars and ambient noise in certain songs. I believe the song I'm thinking about is called Was. And you also see the singer to Acacia Strain, Vincent, experiment a bit more with his vocals in this album, especially in the song Sin, where at some points it sounds like you're listening to a black metal song because of his singing. But also continuing on, they're releasing some small snippet EPs with 2 songs each throughout these couple months, and they are named D and E. And so it's kind of assumed that they're going to keep releasing more and more little snippet EPs until D, E, and then maybe some other letters spell something. But the EPs that I've released for a month are more of the Acacia Strain sound that you are more familiar with, and it's just more good deathcore music. So my favorite songs from these collections of records and EPs that have been released by the Acacia Strain are going to be Hour and Sin off of It Comes in Waves. And then also out of the 2 EPs, I'm going to say The Lucid Dream from the EP E is going to be my favorite of the 4 songs I released. And that song features the singer Jess Nix from the hardcore band Mortality Rate, which I have never heard of. And because of the song, I checked them out and they are fucking sick. Go listen to Mortality Rate. Moving on to number 2 on the list is going to be more of a laid back record. It's going to come from American punk rock band from LA called Spanish Love Songs and their morbidly catchy record, Brave Faces, everyone. I found Spanish Love Songs because they got signed to Pure Noise Records when they dropped their EP named Losers and had the same track of the same name on that EP. And Pure Noise Records is my favorite record label. Anytime they sign someone new, I check them out because Pure Noise Records hardly ever misses. They sign such good bands. And with that new EP, Losers, and the same track name, I fell in love with that song, Losers. Losers was one of like, it was in like, I think like the top 2 song I listened to the most in the year 2019. I listened to that song so much because it's just such a good song. And I don't really know why. It's not fast. It doesn't really like bring anything new to the table. It's just a good catchy fucking song, which makes me move on to the point where this type of music in of itself is not really something I would like attach to so much or just speak so highly of, but something about this record was just simply so like infectious to me, like the track Losers was previously mentioned. And that same track returns in this album but is re-recorded and mixed differently to fit the sound of the album as a whole. Whereas I wasn't really too keen on the new mix with the song Losers in the full-length record because it does sound a little different. I think I like the mix of the old one a little better, but also during the bridge of the old versions, the singer Dylan kind of takes like a more somber singing voice during that bridge, but in the new version he kind of keeps that same energetic singing in that same bridge, and so it kind of loses that up and down feel in the new recording. But I grew accustomed to it, and you know, if I ever want to listen to the old one, I can just go back to the EP and listen to it. It's not that big of a deal. Also, I found the lyrics to this record to be pretty amusing in the fact that it has such a lack of poeticism behind it. Literally, the opening lyric to this album is, "On any given day, I'm a 6 of 10," which really just sets up the tone for this record right from the beginning. Other lyrics like, I'll replace my broken mattress with another hand-me-down, or I don't believe in God, I figured he'd be a bigger planner than this. It's just like, I found so hilariously amusing because it's just not poetic, but it's getting his point across, you know? So a lot of these lyrics kind of like, I guess, help push the band into more of like a pop punk kind of like genre, because you really only kind of like hear those types of lyrics in a pop punk band. But I wouldn't call these guys pop punk. They're more of just kind of like a laid back kind of indie rock or just punk rock band, and it's just good music. I just love it, and I love the singer Dylan's voice. I don't know what it is. It's just he kind of has like this somberness behind his voice, and he kind of like trills his voice a little bit too in a lot of songs, which I kind of which are very interesting. But yeah, just go listen to this record. It's just a good fucking punk rock record. Listen to it. Just do it. And so if this is your first time ever going to be listening to Spanish love songs, listen to the song Losers first. I would say listen to their EP version first, and then from there you can listen to the new record in its whole. And my favorite songs off the new record are going to be Generation Loss, Kick, Beachfront Property, and of course, Losers again. And moving on to number 1 of my favorite record comes from an American hardcore band from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Code Orange, and their 3rd studio album, Underneath. What can I say about Code Orange, man? Like, they continue to just blow my mind with everything they release. And I so much appreciate bands that just try to do something differently. And whereas Code Orange, obviously, they take a lot of influence from like other like industrial bands like Nine Inch Nails and stuff. So it's not technically new, but in this day and age, when I feel like a lot of like, especially metalcore music out there is getting a little stale, and then these guys come in with just these fucking wacky ass fucking songs, I eat it up. It's so good. All of the glitchiness to the album, the industrial flourishes, and just the downright brutalness in some of the songs are just so beautiful. And then they also have and like I always talk about with records, needing to have those ups and downs, they have those with songs like the title track Underneath and how it ends in songs like Sulfur Surrounding. And there's also even the song The Easy Way, which I feel like took some influence from like Rob Zombie or White Zombie, and purely just from listening to the chorus. Right when that chorus hit, I was like, this sounds like it's a straight out of a fucking Rob Zombie song. Also, with the singer/drummer taking the lead as just the frontman now, and then they have a designated drummer, and also one of their backup singers who used to be their, I believe, bass player or guitarist, I'm not entirely sure, who now mainly taking up like the mixing and the electronics and all that, help them be, I believe, even more creative than they were previously in their record Forever, which I already thought they were pretty creative with that one. But in terms of creativeness, that shit pales in comparison to this new record Underneath. And trust me, I do understand that if you do listen to this record for the first time, or even Forever for this first time, I do understand that you might not like it when you first listen to it. But trust me, if you stick with it and just learn the in and outs of the song, because this record gets better with each listen. And I was the same way when I first listened to Code Orange. I was like, what the fuck is this band? I can't even understand what's happening. But I kept coming back to it because I want to understand what people love about it. And so eventually, after coming back to it just a couple times, it doesn't take that long, I started to understand it and really just open my eyes to just some more ridiculous music out there. So just try it. Just give it a listen. It's really fucking good. And when it comes to my favorite songs off this record, I have a lot, so I'll probably just name off about like 4 maybe. It's going to be Swallowing the Rabbit Whole, which is going to be pretty much the opener track, In Fear, Sulfur Surrounding, and Back Inside the Glass. And now, moving on to the last section of the video, It's going to be my anticipated records for the month of April. And the first one is going to be, which comes out at the time of this recording tomorrow, it's going to be August Burns Red Guardians. August Burns Red is one of my favorite metalcore bands out there, and they usually never disappoint with anything that they put out. And of course, I'm going to be looking forward to Guardians. And the 3 singles that they have released have been fantastic and very good. Not anything disappointing about them at all. So I'm just looking forward to more August Burns Red. And then the second record that's most anticipated is going to be Enter Shikari's new album, Nothing Is True, Everything Is Possible. Enter Shikari is my favorite band, and anything that they put out, you might not like right away, but once you take a moment, just listen to it for a bit, listen to it a couple times, and really just see all those layers and everything in the music, and it just becomes like, honestly, for me, just some of the best music in the world. And I just love Enter Shikari so much, and I am so excited for this new record by them. And also, possibly, we might see some more Acacia Strain music drop sometime in April. If they keep continuing the cycle of dropping little snippets, little EPs with 2 songs, it's very likely we might see more music from them in April. And with that, that is going to be the end of the video. Wow, that took a lot longer than I thought it would. But if there's anyone still here watching at the very end, thank you so much. This is like, I just want to talk about music, to be honest, and especially with like the pandemic going around and just like staying inside most days now. It's just something that I just took it as an opportunity to finally just start doing some of this stuff that I've always thought about doing. I just like talking about music, and I like talking about it with my friends, but I feel like I just really wanted to start doing some videos on it, just so I can just really go in depth about all the music I've been listening to. And so if you're here still listening to my worthless opinions of music, thank you so much. And did I miss anything? Are there any of your favorite records that you like that came out within the first quarter of 2020 that I didn't put in here? Let me know in the comments. But let me know what your favorite records are, what maybe your legacy records are, what your favorite singles are, your most anticipated records. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for anyone who's still here at the very end of the video. And you can check out all my reaction videos on this same channel if you like to see any reactions to many of the singles that I did talk about in this video. Also, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the same name as here on the channel, Dova Beats. And also, quick plug as well, I also do some streaming on Twitch. And so if that's your thing, if you like video games, you like watching Twitch streamers, I do that every once in a while. I try to stream about 3 times a week. So if that interests you, I'll have the link to my channel down in the description, and you can go over there and follow, maybe catch me streaming sometime, say hello, let me know you came from here. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to start relaying a message at the end of most of my videos now, and it's going to be keep searching for new things and don't be afraid to break out of your comfort zone. Do something new that scares you. But until next time, guys, thank you so much. Peace out.